So today let's also discuss the constituency that has become increasingly significant, the female voter. We have seen several recent examples of women voters bringing about significant changes in elections. These include the 2011 West Bengal Assembly polls when TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee defeated the left forces, the 2016 Tamil Nadu elections when former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha made history with her party and incumbent coming back, and of course in 2014 and 2019 Lok Sabha elections, the successive massive victories of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, upcoming state elections in the 5 states, including Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, are the first to take place after the landmark Women's Reservation Bill has been passed. Now, this leads us to the questions we ask tonight. Are women truly shaping the political narrative in every state? What is it that women want and what is it that they don't want? And how are they changing rules of the political game? First, let's turn to my colleague Mayank Mishra, who has analyzed women's voting patterns in the country with a particular focus on the states that are heading to polls next month. Mayank, of course, there is no denying that increased female voter turnout might have been one of the factors at play in many states. But can you give me some specific examples of the strong correlation between, say, higher female turnout and significant political changes? Because in 2016, Jayalalitha coming back to power or Nitish Kumar in 2020 winning the mandate, that was largely attributed to women voters, isn't it?
I will start with Tamil Nadu first, because we were used to seeing one party giving way to another. But big change happened in 2016. So we were clueless as to what has happened, what has changed in Tamil Nadu. So we looked at correlation between women turnout and actual verdict. We found out that in 136 out of 232 assembly constituencies, women outnumbered men in terms of voting. And in all those seats, strike rate of AIDMK, Jayalalitha AIDMK was much higher, which means she likely got lion's share of women vote. And remember, in 2016, that was the first election when actual number of more women voted than men in any election, and that was 2016. Then let's go back to 2011, and that was 8th election which left front was seeking, and let us remember that 7th election, left's victory in West Bengal was one of the most emphatic one. So just 5 years after that, left was seeking re-election, and what we saw was massive surge in voter turnout, and more so in case of women, and that resulted in change of regime in West Bengal. In 2014 and 2019, we saw a similar trend. And before that, prior to that, we were used to seeing a series of coalition governments, series of fractured mandate. But something changed in 2014 and that continued in 2019. And one of the possible reasons could be more women voting for NDA. And there was a big surge in voter turnout also, women turnout. So we have 3. And last year we had, in 2022, we had 7 state assembly elections. In 6 of them, women turnout went up, and in 2 cases there was a big change. One in one in Punjab, and another one is Himachal. And we saw a regime change, and in both the cases, women turnout was higher than men.
Right.
So these are recent examples.
Very interesting.
Of correlation.
We also have Professor Sanjay Kumar of CSDS with us. I know, Professor Kumar, you've done so much work on this. So it's understood that political parties are trying to attract women voters because they don't vote uniformly for any single party. And this is some of your own research that I'm quoting. And their votes are divided based on their preferences. So what does your data and understanding indicate about women's voting patterns, specifically when it comes to Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, the states that are going to polls next month?
If you look at how women have voted in the past, it is very difficult to predict how women voters are going to vote in the forthcoming election. But we do get some sense or some idea about how women turnout is going to happen and how women are likely to vote. So there is a pattern that parties which are rolling out welfare schemes aimed especially for the women, so there is a slight tilt, and I'm using the word slight tilt, because I think there is an overstatement that if a party is rolling out welfare schemes aimed only to benefit the women, then the women are voting for that party in a huge number. That's not happening. But at least we see that there is a tilt of the women voters in favor of that party, whether it is about BRS in Telangana, whether Mayank was referring to the AIADMK in Tamil Nadu. If you look at West Bengal, then we see a tilt in favor of TMC, a very clear tilt in favor of TMC. That kind of a tilt we don't see in Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh because of the absence of a women leader. Because many of the states which I referred had a women chief minister, very powerful women leader. But yes, women is emerging as a electoral constituency. All political parties are looking for mobilizing the women vote. The turnout is going up. So we are into a new era of Indian politics where women is emerging as a new vote bank for political parties. They are still to emerge as a vote bank, but I think it is on that, they're moving on those lines.
That's a very interesting point, Professor Kumar. Let me also get Manisha Priyam with us, a political commentator. Ma'am, in the last election, I was looking at how BJP in Madhya Pradesh introduced this women-centric manifesto. They promised to have sanitary napkins in schools, and they also promised two-wheelers. And then Congress also talked about this rupees 51,000 for families with eligible, marriageable women. Now, parties, of course, have been talking about women for a long time. I wanted to understand from you, how do you view this outreach to women, specifically when it comes to welfare? Because women are also influenced by factors like anti-incumbency, inflation, and unemployment.
So, you have to look at women as a special category of voters. Women are not just, voters who get influenced by macro structural factors, because women's insertion into the electoral arena happens on different norms and different grounds. And I will come to that a bit later. But let me tell you that this relationship between high women turnout or women voting in a new government or bringing back an incumbent with pro-welfare schemes is something that's not just limited to this state or that in the post-liberalization era. The first of it was seen with NTR, the NT Ramarao government upstaging the then Congress government and a kilo rice scheme, and he swept the feet under the Congress party with that. And I think he was then called a populist and bleeding the budget, etc. It's been many years since then. Andhra still continues to be a very rich state, better than many of the North Indian states. So women turned out in large numbers to script a new electoral history in the state of undivided Andhra Pradesh at that point of time. In more recent times, Nitish Kumar, who does not have a very big vote bank of his own caste, but plays the politics of the pichdas, very carefully crafted what was called the silent voter or the chuppa voter, the woman who will not speak. So see, the conditions of engagement of women voters are very different. They are not equal. They don't participate in the labor market. They don't speak. But if you target the welfare schemes properly, if you just rain schemes on them, it's not going to work. Right. But if you understand what they really want in terms of their first priority, which is stabilizing the household.
Right.
And second is women's safety. I think it works very well.
Right.
And even Shivraj Singh Chauhan, when he won the election in Madhya Pradesh, an important part of it was not just doles, remember, but the fact that there was road safety. And he was known as the mama who would provide security to women.
Right.
And I remember that election when I went, there was a large-scale response from women saying, at least we are safe to move around on the roads.
Right.
And if there is a complaint, we can go to his doors and knock at his doors.
Right.
So women vote on different parameters. It's not just raining freebies on them that works. If you answer the question that women have, they are likely to vote for you, and for a good reason.
So, Mike, this is an interesting point that Manisha Priyam has made. What are the socio-economic changes, social and economic mobility as factors that you think are responsible for making women active voters?
I have noted down some data and I will read them out for you. IIT used to have 8% women in 2016. Now that number has gone up to 20%. IIMs has 30% reaction from women, and last year all 4 top positions in UPSC exam went to women. But there are certain markers which are telling us that there is empowerment at the grassroots level. One is representation in panchayat. We know that 50% seats are reserved for women in many states, more than 20 states. But in some states, their representation is more than 50%. So that is one way of seeing women really getting empowered. And that is getting reflected in one key demographic parameter. Women have started marrying late. So the average age used to be something like 17 years. In 90s, early 90s, that has gone up to 20. So this is a big change. Women marrying late and fertility rates have come down. So
Right.
they have started participating in economic activities, and
Right.
that is getting reflected in their political choices also.
Right. Professor Kumar, that's an interesting point that Mayank Mishra is making. Would you also agree that there are many socio-economic factors responsible for this? And I would like to ask you that Congress had released a pink manifesto in UP, but that did not bring them electoral gains. So it is understandable that the pitch for women works only when the party has sorted out other electoral factors, isn't it?
No, absolutely. It's not that if you start playing the women card, the party will all of a sudden become popular among the women voters. That doesn't happen. The party has to have a base. And that is what came out in UP. The Congress wanted to play up with the women card very aggressively, but that party was not successful because party did not have a base. But going back to the question you asked about what Mayank was stating, I think I would agree to most of the things which Mayank has already mentioned, but I would go on to add one more thing, which is about exposure to social media. In our research, we have figured out that women who are more exposed to social media tend to vote more. The turnout is higher. The tendency to vote independently is slightly higher among women who are exposed to social media and less compared to women who are not exposed to social media. So I think social media is also playing a very important role in women's participation, electoral mobilization in Indian elections.
Right. Thank you, all three of you, for joining us on NDTV. So that was political commentators Manisha Priyam and Professor Sanjay Kumar and my colleague Mayank Mishra on the rising importance of the female vote in the country and what it means for the democracy. That's all we have in the battle for states. Stay tuned for more news and updates.